Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Rombauer Hour. Tonight, I'm really pleased to be with you, and we are going to be tasting a new wine. It's the new release of our 2020 Sauvignon Blanc. So if you haven't got a glass or a bottle open, now's the time to open a bottle, pour yourself a glass, and kick back for the next hour and relax with me and my two counterparts here. One thing about today is National Drink Your Wine Day, so I think we should raise a glass to that first. Drink a glass of wine. But with me today I have, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Oh, thanks, mate.
Yeah,
Hi,
sorry.
everyone. My name's Luke Clayton. I'm the winemaker here. And next to me, I got...
Andrew Holloway, resident trustworthy American, and also associate winemaker.
And I'm Richie Allen. I'm the vice president of viticulture and winemaking, and I have the job of wrangling these two jokers. But 2020 Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
It's the newest release.
Well, as you said, National Wine Day.
Yeah.
So tomorrow makes National Hungover Day. So here we go.
Enjoy.
Yeah, but
there's a picture of it there. Beautiful.
But, we have this new wine out. New release, Andrew.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk us through...
the evolution of it, basically.
Yeah.
So something that I think is really unique and something that we've made progress on, and starting in 2014 with the first vintage, a really small, basically winery-only vintage, was all Napa.
Yep.
And then slowly, as we've progressed and evolved and really learned our vineyard sourcing, we've really started shifting not only south, but then started to go west and started really going into Sonoma County.
Yep.
And where we started really looking was, Sonoma Valley, all the way up to Russian River. And what we found was, the shift now has gone about 50-50 Napa-Sonoma. I mean, I think going into Sonoma, where I think Napa brings really plush fruit, really vibrant flavors.
Yeah.
Sonoma brings those underlying depth, mid-palate like weight and texture, as well as almost like a minerality and like a nuance to the wine. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about the
vineyard sourcing, as we've, as it's evolved since 2014, we've been sourcing from cooler and cooler sites. So we started with the cooler sites we could find here in Napa on these well-drained soils, and we kept moving further and further south, as you said. But as you get into a cooler climate with Sauvignon Blanc, and you still have those well-drained soils, you get more varietal intensity. So that character that is distinct about Sauvignon Blanc that we're looking for, the lime, the gooseberry, the grapefruit, becomes more intense. And when you couple that with the winemaking that we're doing, which you're going to talk about, Luke.
So please don't
so I won't
take it all up.
I won't take it up,
say.
but it gives you more, makes the wine more punchy. And this is purely a quality-driven decision. Yep. So we're on the 7th vintage now, and I feel this is probably the best one we've made. But Luke, why don't you talk about the winemaking and why we do what we do to make this wine taste the way it does?
Sure. Thanks, Richie. All right. So SB, the aromas are very delicate, so we've got to take extra care of them. So with picking decisions, we make sure we do it at night time or very early morning. So the fruit's nice and cold, and it's whole clustered, hand harvested, and then it's whole clustered press. And so then it'll sit in tank for 3 to 4 days, just let it settle, and then we'll rack the clean juice off. And then depending on what vineyard or what we decide, we'll either put about 10% of the blend to old neutral French oak barrels. And what that does, helps add a bit of weight and texture and a little bit of roundness on the palate. And then the rest will go to stainless steel, which helps us retain that freshness, that zingy acid, and just that real juiciness we get with that SB. But also what we've done, we've started trialing a couple of concrete tanks, and just to see what happens when we put it in a concrete tank. And I know Andrew really loves them. He raves about them.
Yeah, that inner hipster.
What do you think? What do you think that concrete adds to wine? We know that the barrel adds a bit of roundness and depth and weight. The stainless steel is all about linear focus on the fruit concentration. What do you like so much about that small component of concrete fermentation that we use?
I mean, I think it adds a really unique aspect. It adds something similar to barrels, but because of the interaction with the concrete, it changes the perception on the palate. So it really rounds it out, but it gives it that, just because it's going concrete, it kind of seems a little redundant, but it gives that minerality.
It does.
Really that underlying, like a wet stone.
Yep.
And it brings, even though, it's weird because you see the acid drop, but you still get a brightness to the wine. And I just think it's a great component and something that I think adds a lot to the actual whole profile of the wine, even though we're talking 1%, 2%, 3%, a really small amount.
3% with this vintage.
Yeah. And as we've gone up, we've started trialing it a little bit more, and I think we like the results, and I think it plays well into the fruit character that we're starting to source and really plays into the vineyards that now we're working with.
Just adds another layer.
I think so. Yeah, at a low percentage.
Now that we've talked about the wine without actually drinking it,
yeah, let's talk about what
it's probably
we're
time to
drinking.
taste the wine. So if you've got
flavor.
the 19 or the 20 at home, now's the time to stick it in a glass and
Like this one's
Give it a
easier to
swirl.
open. You don't need a corkscrew. You just twist top.
easy access cap.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You can try a corkscrew through it, but I don't think it'll work well.
So how do you describe the flavors?
Well, to me, it's a really punchy aromatics, and so that's what we're really going for. So you get those really citrus notes, almost like a
Key lime.
a key lime, like almost how kaffir lime has a vegetal limey aroma. It's really towards that, and then a little bit of gooseberry, your fresh cut grass that we've discussed quite a bit.
Definitely more prevalent, the fresh cut grass. I mean, it's a background component.
Yep.
It's always been there in the previous vintages. But that drive, we have one Russian River vineyard in this, I feel, has really added that grassiness to the background. It's more prevalent.
Yep.
And it adds another layer, which I personally love.
No, I think it plays right into Sauvignon Blanc's character. And I think on the palate, you really see those punchy, lemon, lime, citrus fruits that we're seeing, but also like a white peach, grapefruit notes.
Yeah.
And you get, to me, the biggest thing is the acid component and how bright it makes the wine.
Yeah.
And it makes you your mouth water for another glass. And so it's where I get in trouble at home because it basically turns into...
You don't get in trouble at home. What are you talking about?
Never.
What are you talking about? Here's one for you and one for Al.
And one for me.
Yeah.
And it's our house water. So it's so easy to drink. It's so mouth-watering. It's juicy. It's fresh, and it's a lovely wine.
Now, Luke, I've been told that you won't drink the 2020 Sauvignon Blanc.
No, it's just so good I can't control myself.
Yeah, I've been told that you you enjoy it more than you should.
Yes, now everyone knows I love the Sauv Blanc and I have to only open one bottle at a time. But all right, so back to the wine instead of me. So right now it's very fresh, very zingy.
Yeah.
How do you think it will be like in 12 months? Do you think a bit more grapefruity, or do you think that like...
I think the grapefruit, traditionally grapefruit comes out, the lime dissipates a little. Yeah. It gets a bit more fleshy on the palate, a little more rounder, but the key is that acid, and that's where the wine derives its texture and structure from, and so that acid will always stay there. It's not going to lose that acidity. But yeah, this has literally been bottled, a month ago now?
Yeah, about exactly a month ago.
Actually, yeah.
Yes, sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah.
In case you couldn't find it, we had run out. And
we were trying our best, but the wine needed to wait. We bottled it in January, and now it's drinking extremely well. I mean, I couldn't be happier. And I think another note is as it ages, I think more of that white peach really starts to come out.
Yep.
Just those softer, rounder fruits that you tend to see. And something with that is as it ages, it's interesting because it pairs so well with food. And so as it ages, I think it pairs with different foods almost as it shifts.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are your favorite pairings?
Well, usually I start with SB, so usually I'm having some cheese. Like I like that sharp cheddar that's got like that crunch of salt in there.
Like crystals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It's one of my favorite textures.
Well, the salt pairs well with the acid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plays on it.
Well, maybe I should be a chef as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Start food pairing?
hidden skill.
No.
And Andrew,
what about you, Andrew? You're the chef.
What are your favorite pairings?
Well, on cheese-wise, I like goat cheese. I think the tanginess with the acid plays really well. But then I really like spicy foods. So I really love, Indian curries or like a shrimp Thai curry.
Thai green curry.
And I think Thai green curry with shrimp. Something with like lemongrass.
I wouldn't know. I can't eat it. I'm sure it's fantastic.
That's why we do shrimp around him, is we keep it away.
Yeah.
And
I won't steal it.
Yeah. And so it's easy. And I think those, because Thai curries have a lot of, Thai basil, lemongrass, and those subtle, herbal notes.
Yeah.
It really brings out and plays well with the Sauvignon Blanc. And then that juicy fruit, even though it's it's not a sweet wine by any means. I mean, it's dry.
Yeah.
The fruit sweetness is so big that it works really well with sweet wine. I mean, with spicy food. If I can think clearly.
Not very often you do.
Well, my favorite pairing is oysters. Like I love our Sauvignon Blanc with oysters. The first vintage we made, we actually did a little photo shoot out at Hog Island, and we went back there last week, and we're back out at Hog Island to sort of reminisce and try the new vintage, which we're really proud of. And so we've got a little video to show you what we did out at Hog Island. Hi guys, I'm Rich Allen, the Vice President of Viticulture and Winemaking for Rombauer Vineyards, and I'm out here today on the Northern California coastline at the Hog Island Oyster Farm. We're here to talk about our new release of 2020 Sauvignon Blanc and one of my favorite pairings, which is fresh oysters. I've got Gary here, the ecologist for Hog Island. And Gary, tell us a little bit about where we are and what you guys do here at Hog Island Oyster Farm.
You bet. First off, Richie, welcome to Tomales Bay and the Hog Island Oyster Farm. I work with the science program at Hog Island. I'm the ecologist, but as you can imagine, it takes a lot of good science to make great oysters. I bet it takes a lot of good science to grow great wines.
It is exactly the same. Well, now that we're here, I'd love to see behind the scenes and how you guys farm and grow oysters.
Great, let's do it. Let's go take a look at the farm.
So Gary, we're here at Tomales Bay. How does an oyster start life, and what's the habitat that you grow them in, and how do we get an oyster?
So you can see we're at high tide right here. And oysters tend to favor growing in what we call the intertidal zone. The intertidal zone is that area between the high tide and the low tide. And for oysters, that's a place where they can find a sweet spot between being underwater, where they have access to the food resources they need, but being periodically out of water, where they can be free from some of the predators and other diseases and problems that might plague them if they were underwater all the time. So Tomales Bay is our Hog Island grow-out farm. And Tomales Bay provides for those animals everything that they need. The water, the minerals that they need to build their shells, and of course the phytoplankton, which is the food that they eat to grow.
Well, I want to see some of these baskets with some finished oysters, so let's go have a look at those.
Yeah, let's go have a look at what a harvested basket looks like.
All right. Gary, what do we got here? What are these baskets? This is something I've never seen before.
Yeah, Richie, so this is actually how we grow the oysters, called basket on long line. These baskets will be clipped to a long rope or line out in the water.
And where are we going to with these baskets?
That's right. So after we harvest the baskets, we move into the sorting and processing stage. Let's go take a look at what that's like.
That'd be fantastic. So Gary, we're here at like step 3 in the process. We've got these finished tanks. What's going on here with these oysters?
Yeah, so Richie, this is actually the same seawater that's out there in Tomales Bay. We bring the water in, we filter it, we sterilize it with UV sterilizer and chill it. And essentially, right after we harvest the oysters, we want to sort them and then bring them into these tanks. So what we've got here are oysters that are essentially just about ready to go to market. In the meantime, they'll be enjoying the
fresh
spa
water
here. Yeah.
Well, I am looking forward to trying these with our 2020 Sauvignon Blanc.
Beautiful. Let's go do it.
Let's go do it. All right, well, we're here, Gary, at the end of the process. Is the part I've been waiting for.
That's right, me
so let's
too.
grab a seat.
We got some of our oysters here, and look at this beautiful
We've got
Sauv
our
Blanc.
new 2020 Sauvignon Blanc. So most important thing is crack that, pour us a glass. And while we're having a sip, what do we got on the plate here? I mean, this is why we're here. Let's do it.
So this is kind of fun because we've got our best of house and your best of house here. So let me show you about some of the oysters that we grow and sell. This is our flagship oyster. We call it the Sweetwater, and it's originally an oyster from Japan, often called the Pacific oyster. Here we have a smaller oyster called the Kumamoto. You may have heard of that.
Ooh,
and
yes.
Kumamotos are also from Japan. They have, many people feel that they're the gateway drug to oyster eating.
People say that about our Chardonnay.
Oh, that's right.
So we've got our 2020 Sauvignon Blanc.
2020 Sauvignon Blanc.
Let's try an oyster, try the wine, and then we'll talk about the pairing.
I have a feeling that this is all that we need to balance the salt out in these oysters. Let's find out.
Let's do it.
Yep. What is it about Sauv Blanc that makes it work so well?
Well,
with,
you have, Sauvignon Blanc is a wine that derives all of its structure from its acid, right? Acid is what holds the wine together, makes it fresh, it makes it vibrant. And acid balances really well with salt. And because oysters have that briny, salty, saline quality, they play off each other on the palate, and it is a perfect pairing. When we first started making Sauvignon Blanc, the first place we came was Hog Island. And it was purely because we knew it would go well with the oysters. What's really interesting about this 2020 Sauvignon Blanc is it's about half Sonoma fruit, which is where we are right now, and it has this fresh cut grass component. And that literally comes from the Sonoma side of the hill where we get all these vibrant, fresh cut grass, lime, a little bit of grapefruit. but that fresh cut grass and the saline, I want to try off these oysters. So I'm going to steal a couple while you're shucking.
You bet, you bet.
Well, Gary, thank you so much for showing us behind the scenes. If I'm a customer and I'm coming out the Hog Islands, where do we go? What do we do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you may know we have 4 restaurants around the Bay Area, but I like to tell people that if you really want to taste the place where oysters are grown, right here in Tomales Bay, this is the spot. We have this picnic ground. You can get a table, make a reservation, and literally eat your oysters within feet of where they grew. And what better tasted place is that?
I think they taste better here on this picnic bench, on these tables, than any other place in the world.
Any other place, that's right. I think I agree.
I've got my friends over here. I'm going to go eat more than my fair share of oysters with them. Thank you so much for having me. And
you bet. Now, Richie, before you go, I'm a little concerned. Out here in the elements, that head looks like it needs a little coverage. So,
well, God gave few men perfect heads. The rest he put hair on, right?
Since we see the same hairdresser, I thought you might enjoy having a Hog Island hat for yourself.
Thank you.
You bet.
I will wear that with absolute pride.
Richie, we've enjoyed having you here today. Enjoy your time with your friends.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Oh, look, I made it.
Well, that was a really fun day. That day we had some of our favorite cheeses that we just spoke about, and some sandwiches from Oakville Grocer, and ate a lot of oysters. And through the miracles of modern cinema technology, I have my Hog Island oyster hat back on. But Luke, what did you reckon? You had fun that day, I know.
Yes, I had a lot of fun, that's for sure. I had a great time. Plenty of SB was drunk that day, that's for sure, and good chatting to Gary. And actually, we are lucky enough today to have with us Gary from Hog Island. Oh my gosh, Hog Island Oyster.
Words,
yeah, I know, tongue tied. Thanks,
I
man.
happen to be in the neighborhood, and I thought
Welcome,
I'd
Gary.
stop by. Richie, sweet hat.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoying
I'm very
that.
proud of it.
We're chopped liver.
Yeah.
We've
Guys,
got
I
beautiful-
realized that when you came out to the farm for all the things that we did, I didn't get the chance to teach you guys how to shuck an oyster. So I figured we could take a little time
Shucks.
tonight and shuck oysters together. What do you think?
All right, awesome. Yes.
well,
This could end badly.
Yeah.
This could end badly.
It's
So
probably better.
I'm going to encourage you to wear a glove to protect your hand. We have a southpaw in the group, so take care of it.
Molly Duca from Australia.
Always
if
an
you
odd
want
one.
to open an oyster and enjoy it raw on the half shell, it's a pretty easy thing to do. You guys ready? Gloves
we're
are
gonna
on.
try.
I see fear in your eye.
There's a hospital 2 minutes away.
Oh, good. I'm
Some
relieved
more
to
fear
know
juice.
that. Yeah. So these are called bivalves for a reason. They have 2 shells, right? And those shells are only joined by a tiny little hinge in that pointy part in the back. See that? Can you find that little point? Yeah. And there's a little clearance. If you can get your knife into that little spot, you can push it through the hinge and we'll unlock the doors and we'll open it up. So check this out. So since you guys look a bit like sports commentators here, and you're already stabbing your oyster.
I actually got this one open.
This is not about force, gentlemen. This is about finesse, okay? So we're gonna
You're
put
done for then, Andrew.
We're going to put
No,
the
that's my
point of
middle
that
name.
knife in, and we're just going to wiggle the oyster onto the tip of the knife. That's it, guys. That's all we need.
Okay.
Yeah, Richie.
Wow, you guys suck.
Yeah, this is not about speed. And then we're going to turn the oyster knife.
Don't
and
force
it's
it,
just
Luke.
going
If
to
it doesn't
pop
fit,
that
don't force
shell
it.
right open. You guys are opening your oysters about like I open bottles of wine.
You know what? That's a lot easier.
And then you're going to take your knife and run it under that shell, and that lid should come off.
Yeah, right.
And you've got a beautiful oyster inside.
All right.
And then you can take your knife blade and run it under the adductor muscle there. All right, guys, let's see what you got. A mess. That's what that is.
There we go.
All right, look at that. Yeah.
Look at that.
And
So I'm
we're
guessing
going to
you're
do
not gonna hire
something with
us.
these oysters. Is everybody ready to
Yeah.
enjoy the oyster? We don't have any mignonette here, but like we talked about at the farm, probably one of the finest mignonettes is a little Sauv Blanc, right?
Ooh, I like
you guys
that.
ready for that? And then, Richie, you want to give us the count?
Let's make sure I've got mine fully detached.
Richie's still working on his oyster there.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
put
golden.
the SB in.
You guys get Sauv Blanc / mignonette.
Let's try this.
Oh, Phil, full.
You get a little
his is
assist
drowned.
with the finger or your fork.
We're not going to give up our day jobs.
Figure out 4. All right. Oh, jeez.
That's all the acidity I need. That's beautiful.
delicious.
That's a bloody good oyster. So these were these harvested today?
So these are Hog Island Sweetwaters. They were harvested yesterday. And if you remember from the video, we have those special tanks that allow us to hold those oysters in their happy place with cold, purified Tomales Bay water. I pulled those from the tank just before I left the farm this afternoon to come out here. So these oysters have only been out of the water for about 2 hours.
Wow. Super fresh.
Can I have another one?
Yeah, do we need to show the viewers how to do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to be here?
Yeah,
We'll
let's do
pass a
another
few
one.
Down.
Yeah.
Give you another opportunity to drown yours.
What I didn't tell them is I give them really hard oysters to shuck on the side.
Yeah, you can.
So you remember, guys, you find that clear spot, you get the knife right into the hinge area in the back, you just press and wiggle the oyster onto the point of the knife, no brute force here.
Oh, yeah,
Looks
I don't
great.
know if I can get mine.
Yeah. How you doing, Richie?
This one's a hard one. This one.
I'm actually doing better than these
You're
two
crushing
jokers.
it, aren't
Yeah.
you? Literally. And then you can use your knife, turn it a bit, pry that shell up, run the blade under the top, and that top shell comes off. And then you have to kind of go around and make sure there's no shell bits.
Oh, yeah.
Free the oyster up. Free Willy.
Looking
It's
good.
ready to go.
Some
Yeah.
more mignonette.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we handled that.
That
Come
is,
back to me in about 10 minutes. I'll have this one done.
You just got to get it the whole loop.
I told you I gave him the challenging oyster.
I'm basically.
Hey, Oki's first, right?
Yeah, well,
Let's go.
we're obviously the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have that
Except for in football.
crazy Oklahoma thing going on.
Oh, it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Yeah, I'm going to need another one.
And it's turned into us eating oysters for another 30 minutes.
You can book your private shucking experiences with me now.
I don't know if
Gary-
I trust a guy from Oklahoma for a private shucking.
It's about as far from the ocean as you can get.
Yeah. Different kind of oysters.
That is, there's something about, growing up in Australia, when we were young, we always got fresh oysters, but there is something about the oysters from Hog Island that to me is different, and they're sweeter, and they're just so fresh. Whenever you have fish, right, and if it tastes fishy, you get a little bit worried.
That's right.
And so that classic oyster smell to me is like super fishy, but these are just amazing. They are some of the best oysters I've ever had.
Thank you. You know, Hog Island's been growing these oysters and tamales for almost 40 years. The ones I brought tonight are called the Sweetwater. That's our flagship oyster, and we take a lot of pride.
And what other, this is one thing I learned when I was out there, there's different varieties of oysters. So what other varieties do you guys farm for Hog Island?
Yeah, we actually farm all 5 oyster species that you might find anywhere in the world. So these oysters are called the Pacific or Japanese oyster. They're grown in lots of the Pacific regions. We grow the Atlantic oyster from the east coast of North America. We grow the Kumamoto, which I think you guys tried when you were at the
they
farm.
were amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super good. Also from Japan originally. We actually even grow a few of the European flat oyster. Some people in France call them the Bellon.
Yep.
We release those at the holidays, and we grow the native oyster called the Olympia oyster that you can only get on the west coast of North America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Those are absolutely delicious. I need like a couple dozen.
Yeah.
But thank you, Gary, for
You bet,
for showing
guys.
us that, and at least none of us left with injuries. And something that's
The night
interesting-
is young.
It is. It's soon. With oysters on the half shell with Sauvignon Blanc, it's basically a match made in heaven.
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's the subtle nuances and those delicate flavors of the oyster come out with the Sauvignon Blanc. You get your vegetal notes coming out on the oyster. Like you were saying, they're almost like a cucumber note.
There is
that can
definitely
come out.
there's definitely this cucumber. the fresh cut grass and that vegetal cucumber flavor you get in the
Yeah.
oyster, I'd never seen it before until we're at Hog Island last week.
It's incredible.
And Gary actually had some of you might have seen the flavor wheel for wine, which comes from, what's the Professor Noble?
Yes.
Who developed this flavor wheel for wine. It has all these different flavors broken down the groups, and they actually have one of those for oysters. And I honestly,
incredible.
I looked at it and went, bit of a snobby winemaker. What are these oyster flavors? And then when we sat down and we had some sweet waters and Komodos, and there were these different flavors of oysters, it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
The flavors you get from oysters, and it was really, really fun.
Because if you look at it, there's so many, the salty ocean aspect of it, but then below that, there's so many subtle notes. But a lot of customers at home, that love their Chardonnay and Zinfandel, which is more robust, juicier, bigger wine. And for when we look at that, we're seeing, bigger flavors, more oak, and it's not as, acid-driven and subtle, say, as Sauvignon Blanc. And so
it makes it seem sweeter when you have the oysters with the Sauvignon Blanc.
The play with that?
Yeah, like it makes the wine seem almost sweet, even though the wine is bone dry. It's really.
I think it's the
quite
saltiness
amazing.
playing with your receptors.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. I'm just like, third wheel on the end here today. Just give me some more oysters. I'll shuck them for you.
No, you're bad at that.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of oysters. Actually, my mum will remember it was my brother's 18th birthday. She took us to a nice restaurant. She's like, oh, here, Luke, try this. And it was an oyster, and it didn't go down very well. It did.
I think
stuck.
with
SB, it's much better. And then with at Hog Island, just being straight off, fresh, straight out of the water.
It's hard to beat.
It is. It's
time and place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, with our customers with Chard and Zin, you need something that's a little bit beefier, something that takes away those subtle elements, but it's a little bit meatier, savory, but matches really well with those wines. And I think we have a really special treat, and I think it's barbecued oysters.
Just before we go out, I just have to do a shout out. One little shout out. Last Monday or Tuesday, I was up at our other winery in the Sierra Foothills, where I'm wearing the shirt for tonight. And I was with Michael, who's not with us tonight, the other winemaker, and we're having lunch at another winery. And a couple came up to us who'd recognized us from the live feed. And I was a little bit shell-shocked that I've never had anyone recognize me in public before, but they were from Iowa, and they watch the live stream every week. And I didn't grab your name, but if you're watching, if you could comment in the live feed on Facebook or YouTube, I'll make sure I catch your names and have a shout out to you. But back to what you were talking about.
Nice pun by Richie. Shell-shocked.
Yeah. Hey, I try.
Well, I think, so getting back, our big thing was barbecued oysters, something that can stand up to the more robust flavors.
What sort of barbecue oysters?
Well, I'm about to learn.
Oh.
From my main man, Gary. And trustworthy Oklahoman.
Yeah.
And trustworthy Oklahoman. So, guys, I think when you were out at the farm, you had the chance to try our barbecued oysters. Is that right?
Yeah, the first time.
And do you remember what the secret sauce is on those barbecued oysters?
Andrew knows it. It's
Bourbon?
a bit of a tongue twister.
Bourbon is in the name, right? So we call it chippy butter for short, but it's a Chipotle bourbon compound butter. And we blend adobo of Chipotle chilies and garlic, brown sugar, and bourbon.
There is a shot up on the screen right now of it.
Yeah.
My mouth is watering looking at these.
Forward to the camera.
There we go.
It
Yeah,
hits all the food groups.
you can see there. It's all the
Just
food
tilt it a little bit for the camera, will you,
Yeah,
Gary?
seafood with melted butter.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. You guys can see that. And we like to open our oysters before we grill them, but if you'd like to just buy some oysters, take them home and put them on the grill without opening, it works great. Eventually the tops will pop and then you can put your hot sauce or barbecue sauce or whatever. But I opened these oysters in advance and I'm just gonna set them here on the grill for a few minutes and we're gonna get some pop and some sizzle. And guys, I know as we get older, it's nice to have a few party tricks. Mm-hmm. Barbecued oysters with a compound butter is a great way.
The simpler, the better.
To please the crowd. And we're gonna go ahead now and close the lid and let a little bit of smoke get on those. And all we're really trying to do is let those oysters poach in the bourbon butter. Let the butter melt and the oysters cook.
Can you overcook them, Gary?
That's a good question, Richie. Some people really like them to be well cooked, for that butter to caramelize, that sugar in the butter to caramelize. And it's almost like if you've had candied salmon jerky, something like that. Some people love it that way. I really like the oyster just lightly poached in the melted butter. And a real pro tip is to have some good bread nearby and daub up that extra butter after you've eaten the oyster.
Or some Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
Or some Sauvignon Blanc. So while we're
Try not to
cooking
throw the
these, what would you pair with these?
Well,
I mean, when you like, I need to taste it. Just looking at that thing, but the flavor profile, the buttery, sweet vanilla from bourbon. You had a little bit of chili spice.
That's right.
Adobo.
Just a touch. Yeah.
And when you look at that for Chardonnay and Zin, they almost pair perfectly because you're looking at heftier flavors. So you need something with a bigger fruit profile, a little bit of oak.
Do you mean these two wines, Andrew?
Oh,
something I prepared earlier.
I knew I was working on something. But I mean, and so you're looking where I think it's going to bring out a lot of those sweet vanilla notes on the oak from the Chardonnay. Those big fruits are going to complement really well with the savoriness and the meatiness of the cooked oyster. And then on Zinfandel, you're going to have the same kind of match.
Sweet, salty, but then also the spice, probably with the chili.
Yeah.
Probably work really well.
Well,
I'll have a bit of that actually.
Yeah, I think I can handle that.
Yeah. There you go. One of my favorites. What's this? The classic Zin you got today?
Oh yeah,
for us,
classic
Richie?
2018. And also we're about to bottle the 2019 here very soon.
But this is the classic
I'm gonna
Zin.
try
This is
a little bit
18 was
sharp.
an incredible red wine vintage. The wines have incredible depth in 2018. They have incredible color. They're fleshy. They're round. They're full. But Zinfandel specifically, because it's so fruit forward, it has that fruit sweetness to it. It has that little bit of spice. This is actually the pairing I'm most excited about.
Yeah, hang on, mate. He's opened the barbecue. And
Oh yeah. Let's talk.
I got to go look at the barbie for a sec.
There you go. So I've cooked these to the place where I enjoy eating them. I'll hold one up so you can
We're
take
going to take
look.
your expert lead, Gary.
Yep.
You know that,
so
right?
you can see the butter's melted and the oyster is just lightly poached in that butter. Interestingly, this one's got a little more heat on it and the butter's starting to caramelize and make almost a thick.
I'll have one of each.
You like one of each? Yeah. So I've opened the lid. I'm going to give them just a couple more minutes to let some of that extra moisture evaporate. And then I want you guys to try them out and see what you think.
Cannot wait.
If we have to.
Yeah, I know.
Man, sometimes that job just is really tough.
And it's interesting because I can't wait to try it because you don't think of oysters with red wine a lot. But I think it'll play into it really well.
Well, how often do you have oysters done this way,
you don't.
Andrew?
It's not something I normally do. And so I really can't wait. I mean, because the last time we had these was 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Ish?
7.
7?
It'll be 7 this February, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so I hope my memory of taste serves me well because they look delicious.
Yeah, now they're just getting 3 shots of guys looking at a barbecue waiting for their
And like you said, now we need to talk sports or something.
Yeah. How about them crows?
No crows, no crows.
So I've cooked these to where I would enjoy eating them. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the platter here. And
Now, I'm not going to lie, Gary. Last time, 7 years ago, we were at Hog Island, and I got a little overexcited and grabbed one straight off the barbecue and tried to eat it. And, gave my tongue quite a good burn. I'll put it that way. I'm going to be a little more careful
Well,
today.
all right, gentlemen,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah.
Looking pretty good. So to Richie's point, these are really hot right
Yeah.
now. So take your time with them. But
Distribute those carefully.
Awesome.
yeah, let's distribute those.
Yeah.
around.
Australians and bobbies don't mix.
Nah.
Is that true?
Luke was going to throw a shrimp on there, but
Yeah.
Look at
I know.
that. Delicious. All right,
Let's see,
Andrew,
how hot are they?
you see, if
they're
you
not-
don't
they're not-
burn your tongue, then
they're
I'll
not
have
too bad.
one. And
Yeah,
Well, I just want to get
hucking
them
me
over.
up one.
Just want to see.
This one's got a handle. You on, Gary?
I'm good.
Well, there's some wine there. I hate for you
Okay,
to.
well then sure.
I think he had like 10 on the drive over. What fuels him?
I'm going in.
Yeah, actually, it's a pro tip, guys. If you have a long road trip, you can set these up and put them on the manifold of your car while you're driving, and let the manifold cook them. Then you pull over at the roadside stop and enjoy the barbecued oyster.
We call that the vineyard microwave.
Vineyard microwave.
I am not going to lie. You guys need to try that with the Zinfandel. That is...
Well, I have Chardonnay, so I'm going to try the
that's the
Chardonnay
I'm,
one.
I'm being very careful not to swear right now because it deserves a swear word. It tastes so good. Wow.
Hoping the oyster's cooler than the shell.
That's delicious.
Oh, that's amazing. Are there any left?
Yeah.
It's interesting with
wow.
the Zinfandel, that red berry fruit like becomes really prevalent. The vanilla, because of that bourbon,
Brings it out.
and bourbon has so much natural vanilla in it because it has to spend 2 years in new American white oak by law. With that, the American oak that we use in the Zinfandel,
Yep.
it's like sweet on top of sweet on top of sweet in terms of flavor, and it's It's not often I like to put red wine with seafood, but wow.
That was delicious.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Like, damn.
Mate.
Mate, let's have another 6 more.
But I mean, I think it's
you, you don't have the Hog Island oyster hat, so what
Yeah,
would you
I
do?
know. Chopped liver. There we go.
I'm out of here. Peace.
It's doing the same thing with the Chardonnay though, and it's really bringing out that sweet vanilla, and it's playing and melding with where that oysters turned into such a meaty experience with so many savory, just unctuous flavors.
Yep.
I mean, the Chardonnay pairs perfectly with it.
Did you get some Chard, Luke?
No, I'm good.
I know.
I'm gonna have to
it's your
grab.
wife's
I'm gonna have to
favorite.
grab whatever they're willing to reveal of that bourbon butter.
Yeah, it was good. Maybe,
That's-
maybe after you can get the ingredients.
Yeah.
That was,
So, just so you don't worry too much,
Yeah.
it's on our website.
Okay, good.
Fantastic.
Go to the Hog Island website and we'll hook you up.
Good.
so what we'll do, Andrew, is you get the oysters and the bourbon butter, and you can cook it at our house, and we'll just sit there and you just serve it to us. How about that, Richie? Is that so good?
Actually, we could get my Weber. We could get some old barrel staves, cut them up, get them in the charcoal,
Oh, yeah.
chuck some cane cuttings from the vineyard, which burn really, really hot, chuck the oysters on top with some bourbon butter, and you have barrels, canes, bourbon butter, oysters, and a Rombauer Chardonnay. And I think that would be...
A pretty good time.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're doing all the weekend.
Life's complete.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh,
What's next? We lost track, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got
distracted
enjoy the
by
oysters.
Bourbon butter, oysters, and yeah.
But
I'm gonna
I
have
want
another
to. Can I have another one? I want to try it with. I've had it with the Zinfandel. Now I
You
want
wanna
to
try
try
some
it with the
Chard?
Chardonnay,
Yeah.
because
at
I know flavor-wise, it's going to bring out a different component.
it's just swimming in that
Yeah.
in that butter.
Sorry, Andrew, you got none left.
I know. Oh well. Yeah. I need him. I'm about to fly away.
It's amazing how sweet they get.
Yeah, it is. It brings out so much of that. And then when you have the wine, you go back to it, and those flavors as they meld in the back of your palate.
It's interesting because the Chardonnay is higher in acid. It has a different play on the flavors on the palate, and it cuts through the butter much better than the Zinfandel. Even the Zinfandel naturally has a lot of acidity. This really cuts through it, and yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Man.
I'm sorry, we're getting messages from our marketing director here of stuff we've got to
The checklist.
the checklist.
Yeah, we just started talking to each other, enjoying these
Yeah.
oysters,
Complete nonsense.
pretty much.
See, one of the best pairings I ever had was actually a Hog Island oyster. I was doing a dinner in Chicago. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but the chef had done a compressed pickled pineapple garnish on top of a Hog Island oyster, and it was incredible. And it was paired with Sauvignon Blanc, and it was the 16 Sauvignon Blanc, which had quite a pineapple-y character in the background, and the play between the two was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to try it, but I'm sure it was delicious.
So, Gary, you like us, like we make wine, we enjoy wine, we drink wine almost every day. Do you eat oysters every day?
You know, I eat oysters almost every day.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm still not over it.
Is it
Yeah.
Do you have a secret recipe that
Your favorite?
the
Pepper?
way that you prepared
Well,
them?
I do have a pro tip that I think is interesting for you guys to know since you're lovers of wine, and that is that if you're going to make a mignonette to pair with your oyster,
Yep.
if you pour a little of the wine you want to pair with the oyster into the mignonette, it's usually a great balance.
Yeah.
Because it helps to blend those two flavors together. So you got the mignonette with a little touch of the wine in it on the oyster. You're drinking the wine. It's a great way to marry the two, kind of secretly behind the
You
scenes.
spoke earlier about the 5 different varieties of oysters that you make. Do you have a one that's your favorite? Like, we all have our favorite wine, which
No
we won't
one
talk
says.
about.
They're all
We're not
our
allowed to talk
babies.
about. We'll have our
So-
babies.
I do have a secret favorite, and amongst my colleagues, it's not particularly secret. The native oyster of California, the native oyster of the West Coast, is a tiny gem called the Olympia.
Yep.
And it was the oyster of pre-European peoples. We know that from 1,000-year-old archaeological evidence. It was the oyster of the gold rush, the miners. and then it disappeared on the oyster eating scene for various reasons in California, but also because of the advent of this oyster.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful, wonderful. We say it's tiny but mighty. It's a very small oyster with a really big flavor.
And what's the flavor? Is it more of a vegetal flavor? Is it a sweeter oyster?
Yeah, so we just debuted some of them in our restaurants last weekend, and the descriptors that came in were a real umami flavor in the middle with a kind of a coppery, in a good way, finish on the backside. They're quite briny and bright, and so if you ever get a chance, they're pretty uncommon on the West Coast, but the Olympia oyster is my favorite. It's a really special treat.
I live walking distance from one of your restaurants, so I know where I'm going this weekend. Now that I know that they're on the menu.
Yeah,
a bit of oyster testing.
Yeah, got to do a bit of professional development.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think I want to, thank you for driving over.
You bet.
It was
No,
not
it was
only
a pleasure.
learning, but the taste, the experience, it was really appreciated.
Happy to do it. Thanks for coming to see us at the farm. And Richie, keep that hat on. Looks good on you.
Pride and joy, mate. Pride and joy.
You guys have a great night.
Thanks, Gary, for joining us.
Really appreciate it.
Man, that was awesome. Can you stay a bit longer and make more?
Well, I know there's a few more oysters in his cooler over there, and I'm pretty sure the whole Rombauer contingent's going to mysteriously appear when the show's over and try and steal some oysters.
Yeah, I know the camera crew's looking a bit. John's already gone. He's off.
Going to have to be beating them away with sticks to keep them. But wow, one more. All right, no.
No comments.
No comments. We
No.
haven't been given too many questions, but
We must be doing
the
good,
wine says
Dan.
it all.
we're basically running out of time. But guys, I just want to thank you all for joining us this week. This has been one of my most favorite shows that we've done.
Yeah.
I love the Sauvignon Blanc. It is my baby, and I've really enjoyed the oysters. But if you want to join us again, we'll be back again next month on March 18th for a new live stream. We'll be doing that from our Sierra Foothills winery. We're actually going to do pizzas and red wine.
Yep, so Rombauer Pizza Day, we'll name it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it'll be
National
Rombauer Pizza Day. We'll be up there. We're going to get one of our local favorite chefs up there to do some wood oven pizzas for us. And I'm pretty sure I know what wine I'm going to pair with them. It'll be a lot of fun. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is if you haven't already done this, we do private virtual tastings. So if you bought wine from our website at rombauer.com or you bought it from a local retailer, you can go call the winery or go to our website and book a complimentary private virtual tasting. And one of our tasting room hosts will take you through those wines exactly like you're having a tasting experience here at the winery. I do recommend it. It is a lot of fun. We've put a lot of effort into making sure that they are a great experience for our customers.
So that's cool. So you can just buy it from your local store and support local, and then contact us, and then we'll do you a...
And we'll do you a tasting.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. Cool.
So it'll be a lot of fun.
We learn something every day.
But
mind blowing.
I think we should go, guys, because there's oysters to be eaten. Guys, I want to thank you for joining us, and happy National Drinking Day, and we will see you again soon.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.